Good evening. This is Officer Aguiar with From the Ground Up. Episode 8. I'm standing in the darkest room. Then he's the biggest light bulb. I don't know if you know this, but in law enforcement, there are several issues that need addressing. It is obvious that when we look at retention rates, morale, and the unacceptable work cultures that exist in the field, that revamping is much needed. How we are selecting our leaders, how we are training our front line, and the lack of strategic and logistical support that is given to the officers doing the job is causing the mission to fail, and in best case scenarios, ruining officers' careers, chasing good officers away, and in worst cases, getting people hurt and killed. One of the biggest reasons for all this is that certain topics aren't being discussed at all, and very important questions aren't being asked. The system has been throwing resources at trying to fix the issues, but no attention is being given to the problem where it all originates. My podcast, From the Ground Up, presents each topic, not as the expert in the room, but as the light bulb in the room. The three biggest components of any mission are leadership, training/equipment, and communication/tactics. In the current model, because there are no measures in place to keep unqualified leaders that don't care about those they lead from reaching top leadership status, the other two main components of the mission are in utter disarray. This episode is to invite experts that have podcasts to bring their expertise to the From the Ground Up table and discuss these very important topics for all to hear. These problems will not correct themselves. Whether the listener is law enforcement or the public, both should be equally interested in addressing these issues and core problems because everybody's safety depends on it. I know that while your podcasts vary in topic based on your passions and expertise, there is no doubt that one of the three above components is undoubtedly affecting what you are trying to accomplish. From a ground-up perspective, here's what can be said about any podcast, irrespective of their topic. For those podcasts that devote their time to discussing tactics, none of their proposals, as sound as they may be, will ever see the light of day until top leadership cares enough about the people that they lead to invest in their safety and mission effectiveness. For those podcasts that devote their time to discussing equipment, none of their suggestions, as sound as they may be, will ever see the light of day until top leadership cares enough about the people that they lead to make sure that those people have the equipment required to survive the mission and perform effectively. For those podcasts that devote their time to discussing defensive tactics, none of their expertise and suggestions, as sound as they may be, will ever see the light of day until top leadership cares enough about the front line to make sure that they possess the defensive tactic skills required to be able to defend themselves and the public effectively and end the threat before it causes mass devastation. You see, I may be wrong, but it seems to me that the reason why any of us have podcasts to begin with is because top leadership hasn't seemed to care enough on a personal level about the officer's well-being, their legitimate needs, or about the effectiveness of all the components of the mission to want our input or to take the assertive action needed. Maybe what causes some top leadership to not act as it should is the fear of losing their job. Maybe out of a fear of sounding too tactical, or of what some members of the public label as too military-like, they choose to say and do nothing just so they can keep their job. On some level, that's an awful reality, but it is also understandable. Maybe this means that the experts in the profession need to come together and come up with an alternative model of leadership selection, which will relieve some of the social pressures that are leading the top leaders to be afraid to make the decisions that are necessary for mission effectiveness and officer safety. That is why this field needs its experts to come together at the From the Ground Up table to begin to repair what has been going wrong for so long in the field, so that from that vantage point, they can rekindle their personal interests and passions and the positive differences that each is trying to make. If you've ever wondered why proposed improvements to the field don't seem to stick as solid as they are conceptually, it may be because there is currently no solid foundation to stick to. When a system seems dysfunctional and the mission seems to be losing ground, one of the only ways to get things back on track is from the ground up. For the purposes of this invitation, I am sitting in a room with a well-illuminated light bulb, looking forward with anticipation to all the excellent conversations that will be had with experts in the room that can truly make the true and lasting change that we need. The light bulb in the room that I hope is shining bright for all the experts to see is how much your brothers and sisters in blue and the public need you to answer this call. This is Eric Aguiar from the Ground Up. If you're an expert and have been waiting for the ideal time to step up and make the difference that you know you can make, please schedule your seat at this table. at tacticalpoliceleadership9@gmail.com. Stay safe, and God bless.